On Friday night, Lynchburg College and Lynchburg College Hornets won consecutive games for the first time all year, knocking off Randolph 57-37. Carly Greenleaf had 7 points for the Hornets and got hot early. I talked to Carly Greenleaf about the team's performance and her performance after the game.
First half, you guys really got off to a good start. I thought you were kind of the catalyst to that. What did you think was going right for you all in the first half?
Our passing was great. Our team, we were just working well together. There was no individual play. We were looking to make the extra pass to get the shot.
Since Saturday's win against EMU here, how much do you feel that can be a springboard?
We've been so hyped since that win. It's just pushed us to keep going. We've been working harder in practice. Our energy's up. We're just on a roll now.
Talk about the cohesiveness of the team because, when somebody like Julia Scales gets in there and gets that bucket late, y'all jump up like it's a 2-point game. Talk about the closeness and the bond of the team.
We really are like a family here. So to see someone like Jules, to see her get in and, get defensive stops and baskets, it's just it's really one of the greatest things, to see her do well too.
Individually, I'm sure it's tough, but who impressed you from your group tonight? Because a lot of people stood out.
Yeah, of course Shannon always hits big shots. I thought Rosalind Alexander did well under pressure at the very end. Katie Reeves under pressure, trying to bring the ball up. They all did well.
You mentioned 3 players, and they're all freshmen and sophomores. What impresses you about your younger girls?
They handle pressure great. They've stepped in the roles of, the difference between high school basketball and college basketball is so great, and they've made that transition so easily. It's impressive.
Hollins tomorrow, you guys probably that could have gone either way when it was here. What's your mindset going in there?
We know we need this win to make it to the tournament, so we're so hyped and we just want the win so bad. We're going to get it.
Shannon Allan, though, had a great game as well. The freshman out of New York, 7 of 10 from the field, 21 points on the night to go along with 6 rebounds and 4 blocks. Afterwards, I talked to Shannon about what she thought went well for the Hornets.
What can we say tonight? You guys had a great game, and I thought you really were a spark plug. What did you feel coming into the game?
Coming into the game, we really have a confidence, especially coming off the EMU game, and that's what really sparked us tonight, and we still had a little fire left over from that game.
How do you feel this team's confidence has changed from, maybe beginning of the year to now? Because I view it as you guys look like you expect to win more than, I don't want to say being surprised, but, expecting to win more.
Yeah, that's definitely Coach's little motto, is expect to win and refuse to lose, and we definitely have that drilled into our brains. So we go hard every single day in practice, and it carries over in the games.
Early in the game, it seemed like a point for you guys to try to get into the paint. Some fouls. Did that kind of help you get off to a good start?
Yeah, we definitely emphasize post touches and in and out. If we get into the post and get fouls, they're going to draw attention, and then we can kick it right back out to our shooters and spot up.
And you had a pretty good shooting night. Were you just feeling it tonight? Or?
Yeah, I guess so. I try and get shots up after practice and on my own time, so it's definitely helping. So, yeah.
Obviously an important win. What are your thoughts on that? Because you guys are chasing Roanoke, right?
Sorry.
You're chasing Roanoke, so this was an important win, right? Tell me what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. Every win is an important win, and every game is an important game. So, and especially since they're in the same city as us, so it really means a lot to us to win this.
With you and Katie especially being freshmen that are pivotal to the team, how important is it to where, do you feel like a freshman now?
No, definitely not. Me and Casey both shake our heads when Coach says, oh, they're just a freshman, talking about other teams, and we definitely don't feel like freshmen anymore. We don't feel like we are new to this, and we feel like we do have enough experience to carry our team.
Tell me the thoughts going into Hollins.
Last time we played them was a rough loss, so we're definitely going to have an edge and a fire about us, especially coming off 2 wins. We want to make this a 3-winning streak, definitely.
Allison Nichols and the Randolph College Wildcats don't have the record they want, obviously, still looking for their first ODAC win, but they scrap and play as hard as any team I've ever seen. I talked to the second-year head coach after the game, along with the other members of the media there, including Chris Humphreys. We talked about the game, what went right, what was she impressed with, and what the Wildcats not do well. Allison Nichols on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Obviously, I thought you were much more aggressive in the second half. That could be something you can build off, right?
Yeah, definitely.
definitely. I mean, I think really for the whole game, that was probably one of our best defensive efforts. I mean, if you take away the last couple free throws they hit, they really scored 52 points, and, you know, they've been putting up 70-some on some of the top teams in the league. So, you know, defensively for the whole 40 minutes, I think we did a good job. It took us a while to really be aggressive offensively. They're a lot bigger than we are, and we were trying to, you know, get our girls to take the ball to the basket and take them off the dribble. But, again, it took us about 25 minutes to start doing that, and when we did, you know, we started to score a little bit.
I think you got to like the fact that your team is playing just as hard at the end as they were at the beginning. I saw 40 minutes of a no-quit attitude.
I definitely agree. You know, I mean, you know, we make a push and we make a push and we don't knock down some free throws. We miss a couple open shots and we could easily pack it up and say, well, you know, we gave it our best shot. But, you know, we really are playing hard for 40 minutes. We're doing a much better job of putting together a complete game. And, again, if some of those shots fall, it's a different story.
Even though they are much bigger than you were in terms of height, you did a decent job on the boards, I thought. You didn't get dominated there.
Yeah, we really did. We've been trying to focus on our box outs again because we've had 2 post players. You know, we've lost for the year, so we are pretty small, and we just got to make do with what we have. And a lot of rebounding is just effort, so we did a pretty good job on the boards tonight.
How much do you feel what's going on is maybe, I don't want to say lack of confidence, but, you know, when you don't get good results, it's hard to have your head up so much, because I don't think they're bad players that you have on the court.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I think we're a little hesitant, you know, to start games sometimes. Again, in the first half, we were hesitant to look for our shots, and then when we started to do that in the second half, you know, the results were coming. And I think some of that is that we primarily play 4 or 5 freshmen a lot of the time, and, you know, it's just taking them a while to get their confidence in the college game.
Always fun to talk to Abby Pyzik, Coach Pyzik, surrounded by media members after the game, Chris Humphreys and myself included. We spoke about the victory, about what Lynchburg needs to do on Saturday when they go to Hollins, and more. It's Abby Pyzik on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Obviously, you got out there really aggressive, taking the ball to the rim. I thought they got you off really quick start.
It did, for sure. You know, we really focus on night in and night out of coming out strong, no matter if it's, you know, top, bottom, whatever it is, because it's competitive every night in the ODAC. So, you know, our mission was we want to get a winning streak going, and that was kind of our focus. And then we also, our other focus was on the defensive end. And as you can see in the first half, limiting them to 13 points, you know, we really focused on that early. And so that was really important to our girls. And so we tried to get in. We knew their game plan was to pack it in the paint a little bit, you know, so we didn't want to settle for outside jumpers. So we really tried to get it in early to our mismatches inside and try to utilize that, and it worked out pretty well on our end.
I thought your bigs did an outstanding job shooting from outside, especially Carly and Shannon. Talk about how you thought maybe that could have been a catalyst.
Without a doubt, you know, I think one of our strengths, obviously, is that we have great shooters on our team. And when we get going and when we get hot, it's a huge rush of momentum through the entire team from 1 to 13. And so it was really nice. And then, you know, I thought, you know, Coach Nichols' team in Randolph, they fought really, really hard and fought back into the game, you know. And it was one of those games where you're a little out of sync, you know, you're trying to get your momentum. And then, you know, we threw Shannon back in. And, I mean, the shots she made to be like, we're up here and we're staying up here and making a statement was pretty powerful. And then, you know, for Carly to get hot in that first half to really jump our lead out to where it needed to be is huge, because sometimes we get there where, you know, we're up 10 but can't get to that next level. And I thought they really stepped up big in hitting those shots.
Who would you say played well that maybe people from the stands wouldn't have noticed just because they didn't get a lot of points?
You know, I continually say this, but I think one of our most improved is Kaylee Patterson, number 45. And, you know, she doesn't do a lot inside offensively. She scraps rebounds and she finishes inside, but, you know, she passes the ball really, really well, and their strategy was to double inside tonight. And she's my one player that I know is very strong with the ball and can see the court really well, and she just hits great passes to outside shooters, which is making our guards better. And so she's just kind of that rover in the middle that's doing all the little things that really is getting it done.
How important is it for you guys that you expect to win rather than, you know, I don't want to say being surprised when you get a win, but expecting to win before you even get out on the court?
You know, I think we've had a taste of success, and so that's pretty contagious. And, you know, this weekend is a big one, and so our focus was Randolph tonight. You know, we knew they've played close in every single game. They were up 10-2 on EMU. They had 5 turnovers against Guilford. I mean, they were coming in very strong to this game, and so that was most important. And then, you know, Hollins is next. We're in that kind of bubble at the end of the ODAC right now where we don't know which games we have to win. We have to win them all, you know, to make sure we verify. And our big focus is to control our own destiny. So as we go forward and have our success, each game we want to take with a victory.
Anything you say for motivation on Hollins, or just have them remember about 3-4 weeks ago?
It's kind of funny you said that, because the one thing I left, we talked a little bit about Hollins. We have a shoot-around tomorrow morning, and my memory of the end of the game, it was a great game. Both teams played well here, but Hollins was on our Hornets cheering at the end of the game, and that doesn't happen. And that was our big motivation as we walked out there, that is not happening tomorrow.
Obviously, it'll be huge for you to get into the tournament again this year. But can you just, for your freshman, what would that mean to get to keep practicing and playing?
I think the experience is huge as we build. And so, the ODAC tournament and the ODAC itself does an unbelievable job of setting up a great tournament atmosphere, especially when the men are there as well. And I think it's just a great experience overall to have your first, feet wet in the ODAC tournament. So then as you build, your sophomore, junior, senior year, you really feel what that is. And so I think it's really critical. And not just for our freshmen, but our seniors have put in so much time, and for them to not get there, that would be heartbreaking for myself and for them. And so their goal and their sense of urgency is to get it done.
What would it mean for you to get there only the second year?
We want to get there every year, and so I think, that's our goal, and, if we're not doing that, I'm not doing my job. My job is to get us there, and we want to get there so we can compete to get to an NCAA tournament and have the opportunity to make that run and to do it. And when the tournament comes around, anything can happen.
With the win, Lynchburg moves into 8th place. However, the standings will balance out once Lynchburg and Roanoke and WNL have all played the same amount of games. Lynchburg has 14 in the bag. Roanoke has 13. WNL also has 14. A lot of things have to balance out here before we see some finality in the ODAC standings. Lynchburg will travel to Hollins on Saturday in a big battle. Hollins sitting at 7-8 right now in the conference, and Randolph will have Saturday off. They'll get back at it next week, and their game will be on Tuesday. Bridgewater at home. Lynchburg gets back at it next week too when they travel to Virginia Wesleyan on Tuesday. But they've got Hollins tomorrow, a big one in Roanoke. For the Sports Buffet Podcast, Bob Alvis.